George, welcome to San Francisco. And I hope you had a good travel. I didn't eat this morning, and I'm doing this function health. Have you heard about this function health?
No, I've not.
It's a test where they draw you like 14 part of blood. You have to be like no eating for 8 hours, and they test everything. It only exists in the US. Are you curious about new technologies and what are your
100%.
What have you been the new things you've been using in the past months that you really love, in terms of like can be medical things or can be like new LLM and things you like to use?
One thing that I'm really fascinated by is how we actually start integrating data across modalities through a semantic layer that actually allows us to extract all the information from the different modalities, integrate it with the temporal embeddings, the time points, and then start making predictions that are not static. We are talking about
directionality, the way it goes.
Yes.
It's even more true like in wellness and healthcare, all the URA rings, the Whoop and everything, they give actually completely wrong numbers. You take your VO2 max, it's wrong. But what matters is not the actual number. It's wrong compared to the physiological test you would have done. What matters is the directionality and the time series and how you improve.
That's the point.
Yeah, exactly.
Because once we embed time into these models, their ability of being informative is increased massively. And I feel that at times in biopharma and medicine, we're still trying to do static predictions.
Exactly.
And I think collectively, we have to rally the troops so that we can start bringing together all of these modalities with the temporal embeddings, all the different time points, and have a semantic layer that actually then would allow us to use these reasoning models that are incredibly sophisticated to get those non-linear correlations in the latent space that will be really informative, that go above and beyond our
until causality, finding the cause of diseases. Are you hopeful we're going to understand the cause of Alzheimer like in 10 years? When do you think we're going to get that? When are we understanding the cause of Alzheimer's, so from correlation to causality, thanks to AI? When do you think that happens?
I think the 10-year time frame that you just mentioned is realistic, absolutely realistic.
And why do you think the pharma is still, I feel the pharma sometimes is still going towards thinking they have the right target and the right biology, and they focus more on the chemistry or the acceleration. Maybe it's not true, it's my feeling a little bit as a non-pharma executive. Do you think we don't understand biology, it's too complicated for the human mind, right? And so do you think, is there a misperception of the pharma that we should focus more on the biologies and the rest? And do you think, what are the modalities that you were talking about and the technologies that will get us to this causality understanding?
I think this is all related to the core thesis in terms of how we develop therapeutics today, because we have to have a large enough population to justify the development of a therapeutic agent.
That's true.
But there are many reasons for that. Because in the past, the way for us to select targets was on the basis of expression availability. The relationship to the biology of a given tumor type. But if we think just for a second that the future will be combination regimens rather than single agents across the board, and then we have the AI solutions to help us decode what will be the basis for the development of these combinations rather than just convenience or empiricism.
With the right time series, because the sequence of this combination can be too tough.
Combination does not need to be both drugs at the same time, can be sequentially. But if we have that temporality, if we are able to extract all information we need for us to ascertain which patients are likely to derive a meaningful benefit, then we'll be in a position of identifying many new targets. The other point, Thomas, that I find really interesting is that the common targets, we have found them. We are really smart as a community. Heuristics
what do you mean we have found them?
works.
Do you think we have found the right targets for maybe even the immunotherapy is not really the right targets? Maybe they're on a macrophage and we are focusing too much on other cells.
I did not say the right targets. I said the common targets.
The common targets,
The common targets we found.
Yes, that's for sure.
So now the questions are, how do we find the targets that in combination will actually be transformational? How we can derive bispecific, multi-specific targets that actually could allow us then to hit with much greater precision the cancer cells, or hit the cancer cells and trigger the immune microenvironment to be much more effective. And I think
it's all about speciality as well, spatial location as well.
Correct.
Is it something you're excited about, like spatial biology?
Entirely.
Really?
What I feel
it's an interesting modality for you?
100%. And what I think is that there is an unrealized potential of spatial, because a lot has been talked about this. Spatial biology technologies have been voted the technologies of the year a few years back.
Yeah.
However, the potential has not been realized. And I think one of the reasons for that is the scale of the experiments performed to date.
True.
For us to be able to leverage all information possible from that type of data that's incredibly granular, we need to have ways of extracting the feature as well. For us to do that, foundation models would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But we don't have the volumes and diversity of data at present to train them. So I think, again, it's another call for the whole community to get together so that we can develop these models. There are plenty of opportunities for many groups there. If we could find a way of creating a consortium, a group.
I mean, we do this with Mosaic, right? It's a consortium of 5 centers, and we've already built the largest spatial biology in oncology, trying to expand, but we're starting.
But we need to increase
we need way more.
Mosaic
We need way more.
by 1 or 2 orders of magnitude.
Exactly, 100%.
Let's be honest.
Because for foundation models, as you say, you need sometimes millions of unlabeled patients, but then to understand how you cross modalities and how you cross scales, you need like transversal data, whatever. It's very different type of modalities, but you agree that the number of patients that are needed. The problem is, I think, like today's, I don't know, in the spatial biology, something that experts like you know, but there might not always be the right understanding at the top level of big pharma, which is normal because everybody has priorities. And do you think today is this kind of understanding what are the modalities of the future, the data of the future, and the technology of the future is something that is well captured in the industry? Is this something that, and how would you think that the industry as itself can make progress in pushing the understanding of AI, the understanding of data towards the top level and being able to even accelerate? What do you think we need to implement? And that you already implemented at Astrazeneca. You did so much already in a few months.
It's such an interesting point that you're making here, Thomas, because I think in industry at present, in the biopharma industry, there is a thesis that's quite pervasive. That is that AI will change everything that we do in pharma, from accelerating drug discovery to transforming clinical development, to optimizing clinical operations, to bringing patients to the, patients' journeys that are really impactful and meaningful. Okay?
Yeah.
More streamlined. There is one element, however, that's not being discussed as much. That is the innovation that can come through AI in the next 2 to 4 years. And why do I say that? Because I think there are so many new insights that can be derived by bringing multimodal data with temporal embeddings that can come through spatial biology, by bringing all of it together. And I think articulating that to our executive leadership and showing clear examples of new biology unlocked by
new biology or new pipeline value. Sometimes I feel that the little problem in the pharma is pharma is super innovative as an industry. However, for example, the timelines, because we talk a lot about timelines, can be different of like having a CEO of a pharma. You have a great one, but it's still like really trying to get very direct pipeline value in a few months because this is what the market is asking for these big public companies versus trying to build real foundations, of AI. Is this maybe a contradiction or you can do both?
We should do both.
We should do both. How to do both?
So the way I see it is that with the time horizon of 2 to 3 years, the impact of AI in clinical development will be felt. We'll be doing patient selection better by integrating different data modalities, by utilizing computational pathology solutions. Yeah. So in clinical development, yes, we'll realize in the short term the value in the short term. Now, if we think about novel targets, new discovery, and translating...
More upstream.
More upstream. That's going to take longer. Even if we actually are able to automate all of the different processes, it will take time because we have to run the trials. We have to test the hypothesis. In the future, let's talk post-2030, there might be a way of accelerating this whole process. But until we have gone at least twice through this whole system, it's going to be hard to demonstrate the value.
It's the difficult of this field, right? You need to validate everything. This is like, everything is bullshit by default unless you validate in patients, in biology. But that's the hardest part. Sometimes people don't understand. You have to build that's the proof point. There's no other proof points. So this is the difficult thing. And it's the beauty of it, but also You need to be able at Owkin. We're building foundational models. We have data sets. We have a lab in the loop. But you also need to be able to show that it's true in drugs. We need this reality check to show this exists and it's real.
Evals and benchmarks are absolutely essential, or sine qua non. Okay, and just because we are using really cutting-edge technology, it does not give us a poetic license to bypass validation.
That's true.
Okay, I'm encouraged by the ESMO guidelines for biomarkers because they say that explainability is not mandatory, it's desirable, but validation in independent data sets is absolutely essential. And I subscribe to that approach.
For sure.
Because
that's the real base. But then,
the validation from the perspective of biomarkers, from the perspective of the developability of drugs, from the perspective of end-to-end journeys, this will have to happen. And it will require a partnership of tech companies, pharma companies, specialized AI companies, payers, regulators, hospital systems, and the patients, in the professional societies as well. If we don't bring all the players together, it's going to be really, really hard to realize the value. But I'm really encouraged because the conversations are happening.
You are promoting this, like this kind of breaking the silos, the research silos. It's always something I've been, when we started Owkin with federated learning, my idea was really about there is so much research silos, there is so much competitive silos, even between doctors. People don't want to share data. And, we started by saying like there is 90% of glioblastoma trials are negative. Why the pharma doesn't even share? And, pharma usually doesn't share the treated arm. But I think this has evolved a bit more with COVID and everything. There's more willingness to work together. But there's a super interesting analysis. And going more towards something like when we speak about foundations and the pharma pace. So you're positive about change in the pharma industry and you brought so much. But do you think still there is a threat to the pharma model? Do you think the next pharma of tomorrow is OpenAI, Anthropic, or Owkin? Is it going to be a big replacement? Because there's no legacy to take and it's an AGI native way to go to things. Do you think there's a risk? Or you think like pharma will still bring chemistry, will still bring go-to-market, but is this replaceable?
We have passed an inflection points. I think both of us agree here. The inflection point is behind us. However, at least for me, the thesis is...
Sorry, what do you mean by the inflection point? You mean like...
The inflection point in terms of the democratization of intelligence.
Yes.
If intelligence was incredibly scarce in the past, it's been democratized.
For sure.
Okay, so if you start with that assumption, my thesis is that the type of company that will win going forward is the one that brings domain knowledge with technical expertise, with the right infrastructure in terms of compute, models, agents, and most importantly, data.
For sure.
Yeah, if you bring that triad together and you have the right questions, one can change the field.
Yeah.
And whether this will be pharma completely transformed through AI, or it's going to be an AI native company acquiring the capabilities of pharma, I do not know. But this is the future that we're progressing towards, I would submit.
Because it really feels like, these AGI companies, LLM companies are going towards having molecules and getting to this reality check, which is very exciting, I think, to see that. And, us too. And I think we really excited to see the field. But, pharma is big companies, has much more to transform, but the willingness to do it. And I think it can happen. Yeah.
And the AI challenge is not only a tech challenge. It's a challenge of people, process, and culture.
Yeah.
The company that solves not only for the tech we can do it with partnerships with the frontier AI labs or the tech companies, but the company that solves for the people, process, and culture, and integrate AI throughout the ecosystem and start asking questions through, not with AI, then that company is going to win.
And do you think to get there you need new LLM? Do you think we need to kind of optimize for novelty of new biology, new things? What is the LLM or the foundation models that are the most exciting to you? What do you think needs to be built that is not here today? So data infrastructure agents, we're doing this as something that's the base, really. That can be seamlessly integrated within the pharma or the environment. But what is the other pieces? I would say there needs expert models. There needs to be new reasoning models at least. What have you seen that were exciting to you in terms of reasoning capabilities of new foundational models and new LLMs?
3 points. Okay. Context is essential.
Context, because biology is so contextual, right? Yeah. You change 1%, its temperature, 1 degree in a room, and everything changes. People forget that it's so sensitive to context. Right?
So context is essential. Domain-specific foundation models that are extremely competent in terms of feature extraction and can generate embeddings that allow us to leverage all of those non-linear correlations in the latent space are essential.
Yeah.
Okay. And the third is the creation, again, I'll go back to the same point, that semantic layer that allows for the integration of data from different modalities in a way that's meaningful and can be interpreted by this context refined reasoning models.
But that needs to be in one platform, I think. When we try to put everything in one platform, because there's so many, I think the pharma, the tough thing for the pharma over the last years has been a little bit like getting this kind of coliseum, kind of a playground where a lot of like companies doing a lot of different things. And it was difficult to know, and I think in the end, pharma will need to partner with a few on very specific platforms. I think this is where reduce the numbers of partnerships and pick up. I think this is kind of...
My thesis in my current position was to create an ecosystem of partnerships with hyperscalers, frontier AI labs, specialized AI companies, and academics.
Academics need to be
and the final point, patient advocates. 5 tracks.
You're right.
Because if you don't have the voice of the patient,
it's
very
everything.
hard to devise solutions.
So that's a really good question.
Really
You always, as a doctor, you always have the voice of the patients. I think I'm the same. We are trying to treat our patients today, right? And I go in the work in the morning and I feel I'm trying to get new patients and try to treat them and help. Do you think you vision as a leader in this space being a doctor? Not everybody is. There's a lot of BCG derived that are sometimes absolutely amazing, but this kind of consulting background towards this position of leadership in big pharma AI. But you have this kind of, what is the patient, you've treated them. Do you think your view is different? The way you see data is different? The way you just seeing things differently? Are you saying that in the end everybody kind of get to the same vision? And then maybe everything's a vision question?
I think that the basis for the urgency that we all feel is different if one is a physician.
That's true.
I'll give an example.
Yeah.
For me, I do not care much whether a drug is entirely developed on the basis of AI. What I care is that that drug hit the patient for the clinical trial much more quickly than using traditional processes.
You just time to impact.
That the response rates are 2 or 3-fold the response rates we're used to.
Right.
That actually that drug can be combined in a way that actually we create synergistic efficacy without creating synergistic toxicity. Yeah. If AI can solve that, then we are benefiting patients. Because as a doctor, and Thomas, you know that, when we talk about big numbers, everything's statistics, it's biometrics, yeah?
Yeah.
When we talk to individual patients, everyone's story
is different.
Everyone has a family. Yeah. Everyone has a personal meaning to what they're experiencing at that time. And once we remind ourselves of that sense of urgency, our mission becomes even more impactful. Let's put it this way.
Are you optimizing to this when you recruit people in your team? You've built something amazing at Astrazeneca in terms of also people you've been able to recruit, which was not easy because, sometimes I feel like a great data scientist wants to go first to Google, OpenAI, or Owkin, but I think it's a bit harder for bigger companies to recruit because culture is also different, but you've done extremely well. Are you trying to sense this in the people you're recruiting? Are you trying to change the way you recruit on the sense of urgency, on being only recruiting power users? If somebody comes to say, I'm not using any platform on AI, would you still recruit them? Have you changed the way also you're building your teams around you?
Yes, the answer is absolutely. First, our bold ambition in oncology is to eliminate cancer as a cause of death. It's not a small endeavor, okay? It's to eliminate cancer as a cause of death. Every time we're recruiting someone, actually, that mission needs to resonate with the candidate.
Yeah.
The second point is that we are recruiting individuals, actually, who have an understanding of AI, are open-minded when it comes to the incorporation of AI across all processes, and are prepared to think through AI, not with AI. Very different endeavors.
That's exactly what you mean, thinking through AI,
Yeah. Reimagining the processes through AI, reimagining how we can derive new insights through AI.
AI is a how, not at the what. Yeah.
Correct.
That's really great. Yeah, I think it's important to test, and it's a different type of way to test this. And my last questions, I think is like, what are you hopeful for in terms of medicine for the next few years? So about AI, but not also about AI. What do you think is going to be the next breakthrough in terms of which disease, which treatments? Yeah, tell me about this. What do you think is going to be the next biggest discovery in medicine? I mean, in AI, it can be the next AlphaFolds, but it's also like the next Vegovy, where it's going to change patients' life in the next 10 years, 5 years, if you had to take a bet.
I think in oncology, let's start with oncology. Starting with I think it is the regimens, the development of regimens that yield response rates and durability of responses that are very different from what we have experienced.
That will go through understanding the memory, immunity, and I think today where most of the models that are doing the pre-training of AI models doesn't include the microenvironment, the immune system. We're gonna understand that the kind of, you think to have long responses, you need some really good immune response.
Durability, yes, absolutely.
Durability, you need some really good memory cells. Yeah. We get there.
As more spatial data is generated, and most importantly, spatial data with temporal assessments. Yes. Once we have that, then we can get to that business. Yeah. So that's one point. And actually, then everything has mechanistic explainability as well. It's not only a prediction. Yeah. But in oncology, I think it is through the data-driven rational combination of treatments as regimens. So that's one. Mm-hmm. The second, in non-oncology parts, I think that lifestyle therapeutic agents, including weight management and others, will be transformational.
Yeah, weight management. I mean, it's crazy. Like, people talk about AI as a productivity tool, and I'm always saying, guys, like Vegovy, when just enabling people not to die before 65 years old, is the biggest productivity gain we ever had. No AI was used here. And I agree, the weight, I mean, like, weight management will change. People will be on low dose GLP-1, every other day. That will be a transformational thing, I think.
Just imagine the impact of that.
Inflammation as well.
Prevalence of different cancer types and how the whole, let's say, prevalence tables will look like by 2035.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You want to imagine the prevalence table in 2035?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not that optimistic, because there's also new cancers like cholangiocarcinoma. Nobody was really seeing this around, right? And because the environment pressure is getting super microplastics, we don't really know what's going on.
But it's going to look different.
It's going to look very different, I agree.
That's
different senses,
yes. So I think understanding where this is evolving towards will be very important for us to be preparing for the next wave of therapeutics and regimens that will be transformational then, not now.
And my last question is about yourself, your father. You're also a doctor. How does this working in this environment of medicine and AI has changed the way you live? And the first question, and how has it changed the way you also educate your kid, and you see your family, and the way you try and transmit things? Can you tell me about how does it change yourself in a way?
First, this position I currently have is a privilege of a lifetime. Yeah. It's incredibly exciting to be at the nexus of pathology, omics, AI, together in the biopharma space. Having the opportunity to interact with tech companies, specialized AI companies, and the patients themselves, it's incredibly exciing, I must admit.
That's true.
From the perspective of my family, and one thing that I ask myself, when my boy is 10 years of age.
Yeah.
How is education going to look like by the time he has to go to college? Will education have the same format, or is it going to be different? So I keep pressure testing this. One thing that I am promoting is for him to have a safe type of education in terms of how he interacts with AI.
How he interacts with AI.
Yeah. And
so are you challenging him on how he understands content, for example? Because content used to be a capture of a moment. No, it's an intention. Why are people doing this content? Who is the people? Are you also teaching him how to criticize, how to understand?
Yeah, 100%. Because before, knowledge, let's say, accumulation was essential. We needed to have knowledge to be able to think rationally and critically about something. Now, access to knowledge, it's completely democratized.
Yeah.
We can do this through the models, and if you fine-tune them with the right context, we can be incredibly granular and precise. So if that's solved for, what's the role that we can play, the next generation can play, in terms of thinking completely outside the box, linking dots in ways that actually would not be linear, but would help us develop the next generation of solutions that will be really impactful.
You're taking things from the human-centric vision. Just want to thank you for that, because it's a world that gets very technological and very processed, and you keep on being this great doctor. So thank you so much, and have a great GPM. I hope you're gonna have not being overwhelmed by the meetings, enjoying the view, and well, thank you so much for the time this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.